The first thing Commander Alina Reyes tasted was iron.
Blood.
It filled her mouth as she lay face down on the cold alloy floor of the cargo bay, wrists locked in grav-bind cuffs that bit into her skin. Her right eye was swollen shut. Her left could just barely make out the distorted reflection of overhead lights flickering in the polished steel. She forced herself not to move. Not yet. The alien vessel hummed around her like a living thing. It wasn't loud. It was worse than that, steady, patient, certain. The ship of the Carthuan Dominion did not rattle or vibrate. It purred. They were predators. Apex species of 3 spiral arms. And she was supposed to be their warning to humanity. A captured scout. A helpless prisoner. Footsteps approached, 3 sets, heavy and deliberate. The grav-bind cuffs tightened reflexively as she tried to shift, reacting to minute muscle movement. Still breathing, one of them growled in broken standard. Alina kept her gaze unfocused. The Carthuan were tall, plated beings, 6-limbed, with armored exoskeletons like overlapping obsidian shields. Their lower limbs were digitigrade, ending in talons that clicked sharply against metal. Their upper limbs were jointed in strange angles, each tipped with claws designed to grip and tear. Their heads were narrow, elongated, with bioluminescent slits where eyes should have been. Those slits brightened when they felt excitement. And right now, they were glowing. "She is small," another said. "Fragile. This is the species that defied our border claim." A claw nudged her shoulder, flipping her onto her back. Alina let her body roll limply. She even let her head loll to the side.
Weak.
Broken. One of them crouched, studying her. Her vessel was alone. Likely a scout. Their war council will pay much for her return. The tallest of them made a dismissive hiss. "We will transmit her execution. That will serve better." There it was. Execution. Alina's heart rate didn't spike. She didn't allow it to. Because this was the plan. Well, not this exact plan. Getting captured had not been part of the briefing. But Contingency Delta 9 always existed. Every human deep-range scout had it. If captured. If interrogation imminent. If survival probability less than 5%. Activate the ghost. Her cuffed wrists rested behind her back, palms nearly touching. Her fingers twitched once, twice, tracing a pattern against her own skin. 3 taps.
Pause.
2 taps.
Pause.
3 taps. The motion was small enough that the grav-bind sensors didn't react. The microtransponder embedded beneath her skin did. Inside her bloodstream, dormant nanites stirred. She kept her breathing shallow, uneven. One of the Carthuan grabbed her chin and forced her face upward. "She understands," it said. "Observe her eyes." Alina let them water.
Fear. Good.
They dragged her upright, pinning her against a support pillar. One claw pressed against her abdomen, the tip sharp enough to pierce her suit. "Transmit," the tallest ordered. A hovering drone floated closer, its lens focusing on her face. "This," the Carthuan commander said into the drone, "is the fate of those who trespass into Dominion territory." Alina stared at the lens. Not at the alien. At the lens. 20 seconds. That's all she needed. Inside her bloodstream, the nanites activated fully, spreading like silver lightning through her veins. They carried pre-programmed instructions. Override, disrupt, consume. She felt the first wave as a warm rush beneath her skin. 5 seconds. The Carthuan commander raised its claw. 10 seconds. The nanites reached the grav-bind cuffs. 15 seconds. They infiltrated the cuffs' microcircuitry, dismantling connections molecule by molecule. 19. The cuffs fell away. The commander's claw came down. Alina moved. The transformation wasn't dramatic at first. It was precise. She caught the descending claw between her palms. The impact would have sliced her in half moments earlier. Now it stopped cold. The Carthuan commander's bioluminescent eyes flared in confusion. The nanites reinforced her muscles on contact, converting chemical energy into mechanical output far beyond baseline human capability. Her bones hardened, latticed with carbon composites grown in seconds from trace minerals in her blood. She twisted. The claw snapped with a crack like a rifle shot. The entire exchange took less than a heartbeat. The other two Carthuan reacted instantly, lunging. Alina ducked under the first swipe, feeling displaced air ripple over her scalp. She pivoted and drove her elbow into the nearest alien's thoracic joint. Nanites surged at the point of contact, releasing a focused electromagnetic pulse. The alien's armor flickered, then shorted. It collapsed, spasming. The third Carthuan roared and fired its sidearm. The plasma bolt struck her chest. For half a second, pain exploded through her nerves. White, blinding agony. Then the nanites adapted. They formed a reflective lattice across her skin, diffusing the thermal energy and channeling it away from vital organs. Smoke rose from her uniform. Alina lifted her head slowly. The Carthuan stepped back. Predators understood fear. She saw it then. The slight dimming of their eye slits. Impossible, one whispered. No, she said, her voice steady now. Human. The commander lunged with its remaining claw. Alina didn't dodge. She stepped forward. Her fist connected with its chest plate. Nanites converted stored biochemical reserves into a kinetic burst. The alien flew backward, slamming into the far wall hard enough to dent reinforced alloy. Silence fell across the cargo bay. Alina rolled her shoulders once, testing range of motion. The nanites hummed inside her, awaiting further command. 20 seconds. That was all it had taken. Alarms erupted across the ship. The drone still hovered, recording. Good, Alina muttered. Let them see. She grabbed the nearest fallen weapon and crushed it in her grip, examining its internal architecture as nanites scanned and mapped it in real time. A three-dimensional blueprint formed in her mind. The Carthuan ship was built on centralized control nodes, efficient, hierarchical. Human vessels favored redundancy. Different philosophies. She sprinted for the exit. Guards flooded the corridor beyond. At least a dozen. Their claws clattered against metal as they formed a defensive line. She didn't slow. The first two fired simultaneously. Nanites projected a polarized energy field outward from her skin, bending the plasma arcs around her body. The bolts scorched the walls behind her. She leapt. Enhanced muscle fibers launched her across the corridor in a blur. She landed in their formation like a meteor. Claws slashed. She caught one limb and used the alien's own mass as leverage, flipping it into two others. Armor cracked under impact. A talon grazed her side. Blood spilled. The nanites sealed the wound instantly, knitting flesh back together even as she pivoted. She moved not like a berserker, but like a surgeon, precise strikes to joints, nerve clusters, power nodes in their armor. Within seconds, the corridor was littered with groaning forms. One tried to crawl away. She stepped over it without a glance. The bridge was 3 levels up. As she ran, she tapped the microtransponder in her wrist with a subvocal command. Ghost protocol active. Broadcasting. Her suit antenna extended microscopically, piggybacking on the Carthuan ship's own communication arrays. Across the void, human listening posts would receive the signal. Proof. Data. And a message. She burst into a lift shaft and jumped, gripping the edge of the second level as grav plates struggled to compensate for her altered mass. She hauled herself up in one fluid motion. More guards waited. This time, they hesitated.
Predators, yes.
But intelligent ones. They had seen the feed. She stepped forward slowly. "Stand down," she said. One fired anyway. The bolt ricocheted harmlessly off the reinforced nanite shell, now fully integrated into her dermal layers.
She sighed.
Wrong choice. What followed was brief and decisive. The bridge doors sealed the moment she approached.
Heavy.
Reinforced. Designed to withstand boarding attempts. She placed her palm against the surface. Nanites flowed outward, seeping into microscopic seams. They infiltrated locking mechanisms, mapped circuits, and overloaded them simultaneously. The doors slid open. Inside, the Carthuan command crew turned as one. The central commander, the largest of them all, stood from its elevated platform. "You are an abomination," it said. Alina stepped inside. "I'm a contingency." The commander's eyes blazed bright. "Your species will burn for this. You invaded our border. It was unclaimed. It was ours."
A pause.
"Leave," she said. "Transmit this message to your dominion." The commander laughed, a harsh, clicking sound. "You are alone." She tilted her head. "Am I?" At that moment, her broadcast finished uploading to human command. Tactical data, ship schematics, combat recordings, and the final frame, her standing unbroken on a Carthuan bridge. "You came to test us," she continued, "to see if we were prey." The commander stepped down from its platform. "We are Apex." Alina met its gaze.
So are we.
It attacked without warning, faster than any she had faced so far. Its claws blurred, striking in rapid succession. She absorbed the first hit, redirected the second, and countered with a knee strike that dented its thoracic plating. It was stronger than the others. Smarter. They circled. "You cannot win," it hissed. "Even if you kill us, our fleets will come." "Good," she replied. It lunged. This time, she unleashed the full reserve. Nanites drew on emergency metabolic stores, converting fat and glycogen into explosive output. Her body glowed faintly as excess energy bled off in the visible spectrum. She moved faster than the commander's eyes could track. One strike to its primary nerve cluster. One to its propulsion joint. One final blow to the center of its chest. The commander collapsed. Breathing heavily now, Alina stood alone on the bridge. She walked to the central console and accessed navigation. The ship's self-destruct system was complex, but not immune. Nanites infiltrated. Rewrote. Set a timer. 10 minutes. She opened a ship-wide channel. "This is Commander Alina Reyes of the United Earth Defense Coalition." Her voice echoed through every corridor. "You tested humanity." She paused. "You have 20 seconds to understand your mistake." She ended transmission. Then she ran. The escape pods were located near the stern. Several Carthuan crew members fled in panic, ignoring her as they scrambled for survival. She didn't stop them. Let them carry the story home. She reached a pod and tore the hatch open. Inside, alien controls blinked. Nanites adapted interface compatibility instantly. She launched. The pod blasted clear of the Carthuan vessel just as distant stars began to warp, Dominion reinforcements arriving from hyperspace. They saw the crippled flagship. They saw the broadcast still transmitting. And then, the ship exploded. Not in a chaotic burst, but in a controlled implosion that consumed its core and left a debris field glittering like broken glass. Alina's pod tumbled through the shockwave. Warning lights flashed. Hull integrity dropping. She gritted her teeth and diverted nanites to structural reinforcement, spreading them thin across the pod's inner frame. The shockwave passed. Silence followed. Ahead, human fleet signatures appeared from slip space, sleek vessels with layered armor and modular weapon arrays. They had received her signal. They had come. Her pod was tractored into the nearest cruiser. When the hatch opened, medics rushed forward. She tried to stand. Her legs buckled. The nanites, having expended most of their emergency reserves, began powering down. A medic caught her. "Commander Reyes, can you hear me?"
She
managed a weak smile. 20 seconds, she whispered. That's all it took. Then darkness claimed her. She woke in a medical bay 3 days later. Human.
ordinary.
The nanites lay dormant again, emergency protocol spent. Admiral Chen stood at the foot of her bed. "You gave us everything we needed," he said quietly. She swallowed. Losses.
Minimal.
The Dominion fleet retreated after the flagship's destruction. They're reassessing.
Good.
He studied her for a long moment. They thought we were prey. She closed her eyes briefly, remembering the look in the Carthuan commander's glowing slits when the cuffs fell away. "They all do," she said. And she opened her eyes. They forget. Weeks later, diplomatic channels reopened. The Carthuan Dominion sent a single message to humanity. No threats. No boasts. Only one line. "We will not test your borders again." On the frontier world where it had all begun, a new training program was instituted for deep-range scouts. Contingency Delta 9 was no longer theoretical. It had a name now. The Reyes Protocol. Cadets would watch the recovered footage. A human commander, bleeding and broken, rising in 20 seconds to dismantle an apex predator's flagship from within. Not because humans were invincible. Not because they were the strongest, but because when cornered, when stripped of advantage, when declared helpless, they adapted. They endured. And when the moment came, they turned the tables. Ending years later, long after her injuries had healed and the scars had faded, Alina stood once more at the edge of known space. Not as a prisoner, not as bait, but as an envoy. Across from her floated a Carthuan diplomatic vessel, its armor gleaming in the starlight. The channel opened. A new commander appeared on screen. Older, its bioluminescent eyes steady rather than blazing. "We remember," it said. Alina nodded. "So do we." There was no hostility in the silence that followed. Only mutual recognition.
Predators, yes.
But not enemies. Not anymore. Because 20 seconds had changed everything. And in those 20 seconds, the galaxy had learned a simple truth. Humanity was never helpless.
It was just waiting.